universal language. The rush of adrenaline. Riding on the ragged edge. For those who will stop at nothing to go faster, it's called Mega Speed. On this episode of Mega Speed, Canadian James Hinchcliffe attempts to go from hospital bed to winner's circle at the Indy 500.
A week ago today, I wasn't even allowed to use a cell phone, and now they're giving me an Indy car to go whip around the speedway at 230-something miles an hour.
They shake, rattle, and roll.
It's like getting shot out of a cannon. I mean, it'll cover a football field in 0.7 of a second.
Stunt driver Paul Swift takes his mother for a spin.
Oh my God! Ah! Oh no! I'm gonna be sick.
When money's no object, there's the McLaren P1.
This is just the best car I've ever owned.
And an Australian grandmother hits the wall at 190 miles an hour.
The place to be.
The Indianapolis 500.
The Indy 500 is the one you want.
This is Indianapolis, and this is what we live for.
Every year on the last weekend of May, all eyes in the racing world are focused on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the most famous 2.5 miles on the planet.
There's only one race to win. You can win all the other ones, and everybody in this pit lane will give all of them away to win this one.
Canadian James Hinchcliffe, Hinch to his fans, is preparing to qualify for his 4th Indy.
Feeling good. Got a good night's sleep, nice relaxing morning, ready to rock and roll. That's only one thing left to do, and that's go and drive.
He has a couple of aces up his sleeve, a car capable of doing 240 miles an hour, and the backing of one of racing's most famous families. But even with that, the 27-year-old speedster is already at a severe disadvantage. He simply hasn't had enough practice time on the track.
I've only done one run all month. I've done 5 laps yesterday, where most guys have done in the hundreds of laps. So it's going to be a little bit of a tall order for us.
A week ago, he was knocked out cold after getting whacked in the head by a chunk of metal during a race.
The driver right in front of me got into the back of the car in front of him, and part of his front wing broke off and shot straight back and hit me in the helmet. The belief is that I was briefly knocked out, but came to in time to steer the car off track, clearly knowing that I was in some sort of trouble. I guess the good news is I've got no memory of the accident, so I don't really have anything to dwell on. You know, I know that I raced last weekend, and that's about it.
Now, 3 days removed from a hospital bed, James enters Gasoline Alley, anxious to qualify for his 4th Indy.
It's good to be back. You know, it was a long couple days there being off. I've kind of been joking that it was the best vacation I never wanted. You know, just sitting at home and literally doing nothing. If you ask any driver, one of the coolest things we get to do all year is our 4 flat laps around Indy.
Qualifying involves drivers laying down their fastest average speed over 4 laps. The 9 fastest cars will advance to a shootout that will decide the order of the first 3 rows. In all, 33 cars will make up the starting grid. 11 rows, 3 across. Slowest in the back, fastest up front. For Hinchcliffe, it's all about making the top 9. The issue right now is weather. Cool, wet conditions and speeds of 230 miles an hour don't make for a good combination. Crew Chief Dave Sharpley is on edge.
The track temperature is awful cold. The track temperature and the air temperature need to be 100 degrees, so that's 50-50 on each side. And it's too cool, the tires won't warm up, it's dangerous.
So with limited track time under his belt and coming off a serious head injury, Hinch is in neutral. Until the rain stops and the track heats up, no one is going anywhere.
It's a mental game now. We got to get him right for sure to go as fast as he wants to go. He has to be right up in his head. And, you know, if he's not right, we'll turn him around and we won't let him go. We'll do the right thing.
Finally, after a 2-hour delay, the track is dry, the sun has come out, and car 27 is fired up. James Hinchcliffe is ready to go.
tires are adjusted to pressures. We're ready to go.
That is a very, very impressive speed. 230.5.
230.5 miles an hour. That puts James solidly in 4th place, but there's still an hour left in qualifying. Plenty of time for other teams to knock him out of the top 9.
Every time you turn around, somebody's going faster, and there's only an hour left.
It now becomes a high-stakes poker game for Dave and the crew. They can keep that time, but if they decide to run again, that 2:30 is wiped from the board, and they run the risk of going slower and losing their spot.
It'll get hectic here. It's 5 after 5. The day's over in 45 minutes. Even at 2:23, whatever his time is right there, it's incredibly fast. That's all right, 2:27, that's all right, because he may be taking it easy. If we want to withdraw our time, somebody will be up there, I'm sure. Under 30. Yes, we're done, we're going to tech.
With just half an hour to go, the team decides it's safe to stay put. At 230 miles per hour, they've made the top 9 shoot out.
The top 9 is now set. You're either going to start 1st to 9th. It's like sudden death hockey. We're 100% confident in our driver. I personally am 100% confident in the mechanics back there behind me.
Luckily, I'm not a nail biter, or else I'd have none left on either end. We're able to keep the car in the Fast 9, and we get to go for pole tomorrow.
While James Hinchcliffe and his Andretti racing team prepare for the most important 4 laps of their season. Across the Atlantic, Britain's good old boys are getting ready for some high-speed bumping. It's a cross between North American sprint car racing and bumper cars.
You do not will sometimes.
These are full contact motorsports.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Open-wheeled race cars zipping around a quarter-mile track at 80 miles an hour, trading paint, and using their bumpers to smack each other into the wall.
Nobody's trying to put anybody deliberately into the fence. They'll use the contact to actually help them get through the corners.
This is the F1 class of the British Stock Car Association, a series that's been around since 1954. And under the lights at this rock quarry in Birmingham, a new British champion will be crowned. Lee Fairhurst is the defending champ, and he's not in a hurry to give up his trophy.
Don't turn up just to come second, we'll come to win. Yeah.
Lee will be checking his mirrors for this guy. Mick Swarter has been in the game for 20 years, and before that, he cheered on his dad.
Apparently I'm one of the hard hitters, so I'll be one to watch for.
They call them stock cars, but there's nothing stock about these racers, right down to the oversized bumpers. Every team gets the same big block V8 engine that produces 700 horsepower. The wings provide much needed downforce, but these pocket rockets are a handful for the drivers.
It's a great sport because it's probably one of the only contact sports in the world where you have a 700 horsepower engine in a car in a frame that weighs, a ton and a half.
They can go from 0 to 60 mile an hour in, just a click of the fingers. To see the contact side of things on top of the speed that they get to, yeah, I think you'll have quite a thrill.
Up first is practice and qualifying. This is an opportunity for the drivers to find out how their cars are performing and come with solutions to get faster.
Brakes are good, car's handling fairly good. I don't think someone just told me I got fastest lap time in practice, so good start. Hopefully we can build on that through the heats and get it a little bit quicker, yeah.
Mick wasn't exactly knocked out by his car's performance.
Not very good. Won't make a difference.
It will, but it won't be enough.
We changed the exhaust system on the car, and the exhaust come in the cab where my feet are and come out again. Where they come out, the temperature on my feet is hot. We're going to make some changes and try to be a bit better with this next one.
Now the action heats up in the pits. This is grassroots racing at its best, and there's no shortage of know-how and ingenuity in the garage area. Lee's dad is his advisor, cheerleader, and chief mechanic.
The beauty of this sport is that if you spend a lot of time on it yourself, time doesn't cost you a lot of money. If you go and buy everything, it costs you a lot of money. This car's 11 years old, keep on top of the car, you get good results. Everything that's on that disc, on that wheel, is manufactured. The only thing that we actually buy is the half shaft. So you're trying to keep everything as cheap as possible.
Lee had the fastest time, but thanks to the inverted pole system, he'll start at the back of the pack. Mick was also quick, and he'll join Lee buried behind in the field.
Yeah, anybody says they don't get nervous are lying, because, yeah, of course you get nervous. It's a championship today, everybody be nervous.
It's not unusual for it to rain in the UK, and right on cue, a drizzle turns into a downpour. A wet track mixed with 700 horsepower makes for a tricky combination. And right off the bat, there's a massive pileup. Lee is struggling to wind his way through the pack when suddenly he spins out. He's still in the race, but he's really behind the 8 ball now. There isn't a lot of elbow room out there, and everyone is jockeying for position. They gave it a good shot for all 15 laps, but it was just too steep of a mountain for Lee and Mick to climb. Paul Harrison takes the checkered flag and is the new British champion.
Not too good for myself, but obviously Paul Harrison's just won the British Championship over here, so very well done to him. We started right at the back and we got caught up at the beginning, so we lost a lot of time there. And yeah, we couldn't make it up. It was just too far back in the end.
Mick just missed the podium with a 4th place finish.
First is better, isn't it? But it's 4th, and we're finished. We haven't got a lot of damage on the car. So that'll do. What else would I do? I can't play ice hockey. I can't even stand up on ice. We used to play football, but I didn't have knee injuries, so I don't play football anymore. I'm too old. Now I'm 38 now, so it's getting on too much. Can't win. We just try to entertain. What I do.
One more to go, James. One more.
Still ahead. He's made it to the top 9, but as James Hinchcliffe recovered enough from his head injury to capture the pole in a winner-take-all shootout.
That's a good run. That's a good run.
And up next, the bone-crunching power of the Nitro Funny Cars. Standing next to a Nitro Funny Car at the start line is like standing beside the space shuttle on takeoff. Okay, not quite. But Nitro Funny Cars are so loud they hurt. You can feel their power right in your chest.
It's like getting shot out of a cannon. They're hard to drive. They're ill handling. They're noisy. They burn your eyes. I mean, it'll cover a football field in 0.7 of a second. It'll go 100 miles an hour in less than 60 feet.
He's not kidding. With 10,000 horsepower, taking off at a funny car is anything but funny. It's downright violent. Funny cars get their name honestly. When they first appeared in the 60s with their altered short wheelbase and huge rear tires, people thought they were weird or funny looking. No one loves the wild ride of a funny car more than Dale Creasy Jr.
Oh, I love drag racing. You're doing something that there isn't 50 people in the world get to do. There's times when I wonder why I work this hard to do what I do, but it's worth it. It'll have 4 to 5 G's of G-force when you hit the gas. It'll maintain 2 to 3 on the entire run, and then you'll have 5 reverse when you pull a parachute. So it's pretty exciting.
Dale is at Toronto Motorsport Park to take on this guy, Jeff Deal, a California surfer dude who has nitro running through his veins.
My big saying is, boy, I could be a manager at McDonald's or doing this, right? So we just love it. We're trying to live life, and I love racing. I was born and raised in a racing family.
Jeff's wife, Lisa, is included in the we. Lisa is a big part of the show, right down to the blue shorts and the monogram boots.
Oh, I absolutely adore him. I love him. I think he's Superman. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
He is. Everything he does.
Yeah, I'm Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah. I told people, when you see me coming out of the trailer with earplugs and a face mask, it's gonna get stinky in here. It'll pump a 5-gallon can empty faster than you can dump it out. That's how much fuel goes through this motor. It'll burn 15 to 18 gallons on a quarter-mile run. Lots of gas. Yeah, nitro's somewhere in the area of about $30 a gallon, and you use it all.
Nothing is overlooked on these beasts. When something breaks at 300 miles an hour, people get hurt. Dale missed an entire year after his transmission broke off and almost ended his career.
It crushed the tibia, ankle, and big toe, and then broke this one in my right leg in like 14 places. And there's still screws. There's a plate in the back. The ankle's screwed together and the big toe's screwed together. It pretty much pinned me against the frame and kept hitting me. It was like a sledgehammer. It just kept coming around hitting me.
But Dale's addiction to speed made it impossible for him to quit. And now he's back behind the wheel and completely focused.
I always joke that if there was a Betty Ford for drag racers, there'd be a revolving door because we wouldn't quit doing it. You just go there and get a little rest and then come back.
Now that the sun has gone down, it's time for Dale and Jeff to take center stage. Dale pulls away off the line, but it looks like Jeff has a problem, and he's forced to shut it down. But not before blowing the camera off the back of his car. That's it, bouncing on the pavement. Dale tops out at 194 miles an hour, while Jeff limps back to the pits.
Oh, I did terrible, but whatever. You know, you're out here doing it, and it happens. You gotta be humble doing this, because only one guy wins, and they're fickle. They're hard to run, and we went out there and smoked the tires, and I shut it off, and I got down the end and it was on fire. So I'm just interested to see how my house is doing. It's a lot of money right here. Most of the time when it's on fire, it's hurt. That's expensive.
While Jeff frets over the condition of his engine, Dale can't wait for his next run.
Well, I love drag racing. You look at my arms, the hair will stand up on them when I start talking about it. And I told somebody one time, I was here, I jumped out of the car with the warm-up, and I'm all excited. And he said, "You've been doing this a long time, you still get excited?" I said, "When I stop getting excited, it's time to get out." So, but I still love it.
You want to jump in? Yeah. Come on then.
Still ahead on mega speed? When you're the mother of a stunt driver, you think twice about getting in the passenger seat. And up next, when something breaks at 300 kilometers an hour, it breaks fast.
That is disastrous.
New Year's Day in Brisbane, Australia.
These conditions won't worry Deb. A lot of experience.
This is not the way top alcohol funny car driver Debbie Reed wanted to celebrate.
Oh, Reed with a hands full! No! Oh.
Actually, I don't really remember a great deal about it at all. Even just by the video, all I can see is that it got twitchy and then it just slammed into the wall, and at that stage it would have knocked me unconscious.
Debbie's husband, Steve, is also a funny car pilot. He was just steps away when she hit the wall at 360 kilometers an hour.
The car was upside down against the fence, so I climbed in underneath and looked at Debbie, and it looked pretty bad.
The 51-year-old grandmother was knocked unconscious, but only suffered minor injuries.
I think my body was quite strong enough for the trauma that it went through. Yeah, I think maybe some people upstairs were watching over me and kept me safe as well.
So we're here, we're going to get warmed up. We'll start with a few tricks.
If you're prone to car sickness, whatever you do, don't get in the passenger seat with this guy.
It's better than working for a living.
As a precision driver, Paul Swift has made a career out of circling the competition. He's been pulling stunts for as long as he can remember.
We started at the age of 7. My father was a stunt driver in the 80s, and everybody wants to be like their dad, so I kind of followed in his tyre tracks, I guess.
Paul's been hired by Vauxhall to perform a stunt for an upcoming commercial. But first, it's time to warm up.
Yeah, really happy with that. Got a little bit close to one of the cars, but I'm ready for something else.
Try this one next time you take a drive to pick up the groceries. They don't teach that at driving school.
Should we move on to something else?
Something else in this case involves his #1 fan, Mom. What a trooper.
You want to jump in? Yeah. Come on then. Okay. I didn't think you were going to say yes.
Well, I don't mind as long as you're not going to do
I promise no donuts. No.
Promise.
No
Okay.
donuts. Shall we go?
Yeah. My goodness. Oh my God.
We're going quiet.
Oh no. I'm going to be sick. Oh.
You okay?
Yeah.
Do you want a cup of tea?
No, I need something stronger.
Okay, enough practice. Time for the main event. Paul's been hired by Vauxhall to get its new van up on 2 wheels. He's done this trick a million times, but never in a vehicle this size.
This is my ramp that I used to actually launch me onto 2 wheels. It needs to be heavy enough really to take the ramp. We've had to build this especially because of the extra weight of using the van as opposed to a car. So this is the first time we've actually set this up and practiced with it.
Vauxhall is launching a commercial campaign to show off the agility of its vans. Paul welcomes the challenge.
So do I need to be slightly further to the right then to hit that beam?
Yeah, take about 6 inches to your right, and that'll be a perfect line.
It's a completely different shape to a normal car. It's a lot higher, so we don't know where the centre of gravity is, and it's a new balance point as well. So how high do you make the ramp? All of these things are completely unknown, so hopefully we can build it up slowly and get some success by the end of the day.
You know, if you keep that line in the first third of the ramp, you should be clear. It's only if you creep over to the middle or the second third there's a danger of catching the skirt at the bottom of the front bumper.
And now, the moment of truth.
There's loads of things going through my mind at the minute, so I'm just a little bit nervous, but we'll give it a go. The ramp isn't high enough to get it up to the point of balance. That's definitely a lot closer to where we need to be. My fear was that when we taking it up that little bit higher, that it actually might be too far.
3 times lucky?
Yeah! I'm so relieved. Yeah, I'm delighted with it's a big weight off my shoulders, that.
Now that he's found the sweet spot, time to get Mom up on 2 wheels.
You okay?
Yep.
1 month later, they shot the commercial, and here's a portion of the finished product. Still ahead on Mega Speed, top fuel motorcycle riders need skill, courage, and a really tight grip.
It's like firing the gun and riding the bully.
And up next, Canadian James Hinchcliffe has made it to the top 9 at Indy.
Everything's ready to go, car's good to go.
Now he wants pole position. 3 days ago, James Hinchcliffe was in a hospital bed recovering from a severe concussion.
And good afternoon, race fans. Welcome to the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Now he's trying to nail down the pole for the Indy 500 and the $100,000 bonus that goes with it. Today, the 9 fastest cars are in a shootout for the top spot.
A week ago today, I wasn't allowed to use a cell phone, and now they're giving me an Indy car to go whip around the speedway 230-something miles an hour. So it's pretty incredible when you think about it like that.
Who's going to win the pole position for the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race?
It's game on. It's Indy 500 pole day.
Okay, James, just stay on top of it.
James has 4 laps, 10 miles to let it all hang out.
Here comes the Canadian James Hinchcliffe out to make the qualifying run.
Team strategist George Klotz is in constant contact with James.
Looking good. Stay on top of your tools.
Lap number 1 for James Hinchcliffe is a good one. Listen to this, 231 miles an hour. Hinch making a run at the pole position.
That's 2 down, you're working 3. Okay, One more to go, James. One more.
Eyes on turn 4. Here he comes. Hinchcliffe finishing his run. Did he do it? Yes, he did. 4-lap average, 230.8 miles an hour.
Good job, James. Good job. P1, P1.
Hinch is on the pole for the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500.
He was carried off the track less than a week ago, had limited practice, but James Hinchcliffe kills it with an average speed of 230.8 miles an hour. He's on the pole, but will it be enough? There's one car left that can bump him. All that James Hinchcliffe's crew can do is watch and hope. Top Fuel motorcycle drag racing. These guys are either the most courageous racers on the planet or the craziest. 0 to 240 miles an hour in just 5 seconds. 1,500 horsepower on 2 wheels.
We're pulling about 2.5 G, 3 G on acceleration on the standstill.
They're the most extreme vehicles. And if you ever aspire to have the biggest, the quickest, the fastest, the loudest, the meanest, a Top Fuel bike is the one to have.
52-year-old speed demon Ian King is the reigning European Top Fuel bike champ, and the guy everyone is trying to chase down. His arch rival is Steve Woollett, a 38-year veteran with 13 British championships under his belt. It's the first round of the European season, and the polite trash talk is ramping up in the pits.
I'm the spoiler, I upset them all.
We're the people to be knocked down. You know, we're current European champions, 7-time overall champions. So therefore, you know, the only way is down really for us. So, and everyone wants to kick our backsides, which I understand.
It's happened before, and it will happen again. The bike's called the dealer, and the dealer never shows his hand to the end.
Is it a dangerous motorsport? All motorsport's dangerous. Is it as dangerous as, for example, mountaineering? I don't know. Certainly, I don't like heights, so for me, that would be petrifying. I'd rather ride a Top Fuel motorcycle than climb a ladder.
Walking across the road's dangerous. You'd get by a bus, couldn't you? That wouldn't be any fun.
These two-wheeled monsters run on nitromethane, a highly volatile chemical cocktail that can create large amounts of heat and pressure with very little oxygen. It's basically rocket fuel.
Nitromethane is an oxygen carrier. It's a way of getting more oxygen into the engine. It doesn't burn as well as gasoline, but when it does burn, it's a power multiplier. It really does add horsepower.
You almost have to be a chemist in the pits. This fuel has to be treated with respect.
The nitromethane we buy comes in 100% form, and that would be far too much for the engine. And today we're aiming for 88% nitro.
So if you don't have the right mixture, then you can melt the engine down effectively, because if it runs too lean, you're not got enough air in there, so what tends to happen is the thing that tends to start burning is the metal.
Steve is on the line for the first of his qualifying runs. The Top Fuel bikes are equipped with wheelie wheels, and with good reason. Watch the front wheel. It doesn't even hit the ground until just before the finish line.
Well, with a good launch, it was carrying the front wheel all the way down there. It was really pulling well, you know. I mean, the front wheel didn't touch the ground until I shut it off.
Ian is up next.
It's the fastest accelerating vehicle, apart from Top Fuel dragsters. People ask me, what is it like to get on there and hit the throttle? You go in full throttle, it's like firing the gun and riding a bullet. Yeah, not too bad. I shut off a little bit early because it was starting to move towards the wall a little bit with the wind. It's a bit windy at the top. But no, it's fine. Nice first pass, #1 qualifier, so can't really ask for much more.
Back in Steve's pit, it's nothing but bad news.
It's bent. It's got a tight spot in the same place every time. Only slightly bent. It's just just had a look in the oil filter. It's full of glitter fairy material, you know what I mean? All sparkly, metally bits, which isn't good, which means we're done for the day, you know, unfortunately.
Disappointment for Steve, but Ian is back on his Puma Yamaha, ready to tear it up. The track is warmed up, and he's aiming for 200 miles per hour. As fast as Ian is, he can't outrun the weather, and unfortunately rain forced an end to everyone's weekend. For now, he'll have to be satisfied with 193 miles an hour.
It's unfortunate we couldn't go out and run our races, but we finished at least points leaders with this championship. You know, I'm addicted to this sport. Once you get it in your veins, it doesn't go away.
Still ahead on Mega Speed. What do you get the millionaire car collector who has everything? The McLaren P1. And up next, when an inch of rubber is the only thing between you and the salt at 400 miles an hour, you better trust your tire guy.
You can't blow a tire.
No place on earth says mega speed like the Bonneville Salt Flats in Utah. But with mega speeds comes mega tire pressure.
64,000 pounds. A lot of these guys just freak out. 64,000? You sure you didn't make a decimal problem? No.
Put it this way, the tires of your family car roll at about 32 PSI. Nate Jones is the tire guru for George Petit, the man who pilots Speed Demon over the salt at more than 460 miles an hour.
In my world, what I have to do is keep George alive. But you can't blow a tire. A tire at 400 miles an hour is curtains. I mean, it's going to be a real bad scene. And a lot of the major accidents out here are because of the tire problem. When he's at 9,000 RPM and going 400 miles an hour, he's real lucky to have a footprint any larger than that, and he's delivering 2,600 horsepower. When you hit a pebble smaller than my fingernail at 400 miles an hour, even on the salt, you're getting tens of thousands of pounds of pressure on this. All tires take a lot of abuse. They're the Rodney Dangerfield of the world.
The McLaren P1 Hybrid. Talk about a head turner. The stats are impressive. 0 to 100K in just 2.8 seconds. 903 horsepower and a top speed of 350 kilometers an hour. They will only make 375 P1s. And Paul Bailey, a serious car collector, is the proud owner of the first one delivered in the UK.
This is just the best car I've ever owned and I've ever driven.
That's heavy praise coming from a man who owns dozens of supercars. Today, Paul is anxious to take the P1 for a spin on the world-famous Silverstone racetrack.
I've recently sold my business and I decided that I'd be investing some of my money into supercars.
It is an obsession. I think if there was a class that would help you stop smoking, taking drugs, having alcohol, I wouldn't be interested in any of those. But if they had one to stop spending money on cars, I'd have to attend on a regular basis. I've got a collection of 20 Ferraris, 10 Porsches, 6 McLarens, 6 Aston Martins, 4 Lamborghinis. I've got pretty much everything that I really want now in the collection. I think if you're going to have a hypercar and the car's going to be outrageous, you should have it in an outrageous colour. I wanted something really cool. The launch colour was volcano orange, the same colour as my car.
At McLaren's headquarters in Woking, England, you can pretty much eat off the floor. With a price tag of more than $1 million for each car, everything has to be perfect. Hey, you never know when you're going to drive your car through a monsoon. No time for rain today. It's all about chicanes, hairpins, and really fast straightaways.
Let's go.
Paul is excited to check out 3 of the P1's driving modes: road, sports, and if you really want to rip it up, race mode.
Totally amazing, guys. Road mode on the racetrack is still superb. So I'm going to take it up another level now. We're going to move into sports mode.
The rear wing can extend from the bodywork by 120 millimeters in sports mode, but as much as 300 millimeters in race mode. Race mode takes the McLaren to a whole new level.
Activate. Race mode. Confirm.
A simple touch of a button completely transforms the car's handling ability and drops the body by 50 millimeters.
We're going to have fantastic ground effect now.
The car just says to you, come on, stop messing around. Push that pedal right to the metal. You know, I've got a lot more to give you and a lot more to come. And when you learn to use the power, it is just stunning. It does genuinely take your breath away. It's definitely not your average electric car.
It's easy to forget the P1 is a hybrid until you need it.
To move this car into the electric mode, you just push a button on the dash, the combustion engine turns off, and right now, we're in battery mode. I use it in the mornings when I'm leaving home and I don't want to wake up my neighbours. I use it when I come back, when I'm having a great day out with the car, when I don't want to wake up my neighbours. And I use it in stop-start traffic, for traffic jams and the like, where you don't want to be burning fuel unnecessarily.
If you have a supercar and you don't use it, it's the same as having a great-looking girlfriend and you don't make love to her. What's the point? Keeps you young. I'm 54. I got 3 grandkids. And look at me. I'm a happy guy out there enjoying myself. I'd rather be spending my money on that than like a work of art that I was just going to sit saying that's a nice piece of art. Not for me. It doesn't do 0 to 100 quickly enough, even if you throw it out the window. So for me, a supercar's the way to go.
James Hinchcliffe is on the verge of starting the 98th Indianapolis 500 from the pole position. Hinch lit up the oval in qualifying with an average speed of 230.8 miles an hour.
Take that either way, boys.
He has the pole for now, but he could still get bumped by a faster car. There's only one driver left with a shot to knock him out of the top spot, and he's on the track now.
Last year's pole winner, here he is, Ed Carpenter, trying to bump his way to the front row. Can he do it?
James gave everything he had. Now all he can do is watch and hope he can hang on to the top spot. It's a stressful time for him and his girlfriend.
The team and I were all together, just kind of like nail-biting moment, just watching the screen.
Ed Carpenter is smoking, recording a first lap speed of 231 miles per hour.
That was a 237. If he drops another 230.5.
Trying to do the math in my head, trying to figure out, okay, do we still have it, do we not, how close is it, what's gonna happen?
Here he comes, out of turn number 4, Ed Carpenter trying to bump his way back to the front row. Is he quick enough for the pole position? Yes, he is, he did it. Ed Carpenter takes over the pole position. Hinchcliffe will start second.
Ed Carpenter scorches the brickyard, but it's Hinchcliffe that gets burned. The front row is now set, with James Hinchcliffe starting in the number 2 spot for the 2nd year in a row.
We were just a tiny little bit short. Today wasn't the day for it. It wasn't meant to be.
We're starting on the front row of the Indy 500. There's absolutely nothing to be upset about, but I've got zero idea how we're going to be in traffic, and that's what this race is all about. You know, it's not just about going fast. In fact, seldom does the fastest car win this race. You know, it's the guy that's the best in traffic.
We're in race trim now. We're going to race mode now, and the big prize is at the end of the week on Sunday.
It's called the greatest spectacle in racing. For the 2nd time in 2 years, James Hinchcliffe will start the 98th running of the Indianapolis 500, smack dab in the middle of the first row.
From Canada, it's James Hinchcliffe.
Tradition since the weekend we met is once he puts his helmet on, I'll give him a kiss on where his lips would be, but on the helmet, and just wish him luck, and that's it. I just kind of leave it up to him from that.
Everything's ready to go. Car's good to go.
I think we're ready to go.
The engines coming to life. The green flag waves. And the 98 running of the Indianapolis 500 is on. James Hinchcliffe with a move. Lap number 1, here they come. Hinchcliffe is your leader.
The Indy is never won on the first lap. If James Hinchcliffe has any hope of sipping milk in the winner's circle, sooner or later, he's going to have to deal with some high-speed traffic. The Indianapolis 500. Win this race, and you become an instant legend. James Hinchcliffe qualified on the front row with an average speed of 230.8 miles an hour. James jumps into the lead out of the first turn, and the race is on. With less than 40 laps to go, Hinch is sitting pretty in the 6th spot. His girlfriend has spent the afternoon biting her nails to the nub.
This close behind, it's really exciting. I mean, there's still a while to go, so it's anyone's race. And hopefully he's saving that last little boost for the end there. But I mean, 6 is great, especially after what he's been through the last week. Like, this is just really good.
We got a crash in turn 4.
With 33 laps to go, an accident happens right in front of Hinchcliffe. It was a close call as he swerves to avoid the debris. The yellow flag is now out, and the pressure shifts to the pit crews as everyone prepares to come in for fresh tires and fuel for the dash to the finish line. Even fractions of seconds count in the pits.
Obviously, it's late in the race. It's time for the crew and everybody to make their moves.
Yeah, so Ed's already did his pit stop, so you have a clear out here, straight out here, James, just so you know. Clear. Reset fuel. Good job, boys, good stop.
Perfect pit stop. Can't ask for much more.
7 seconds to replace 4 tires and top up the fuel. 26 laps to go, and James lines up in 4th place.
Getting a 1 finger right here, James. They'll be green next time by.
The track is about to go green after a long yellow flag because of the cleanup.
Prepare for the restart. 25 laps to go at the line.
It's a crowded restart, and James decides to go for it.
Green flag waves!
Still there, 3 wide, laps to go.
Trouble! Crash! Turn number 1!
Yellow's out.
And that's where everything goes wrong.
Hinchcliffe may have been involved. Oh, no.
You all right, buddy?
Yeah, man. Right.
In a cruel twist of fate, James gets tangled up with Ed Carpenter, the same driver he lost the pole position to. Carpenter is furious. In the Hinchcliffe pit, complete devastation.
I am his mother, yeah. So my heart goes out to him. He's had a fast car all season, and one thing or another, he's just not been able to get there. He could have podiumed today, for sure.
It was 3 wide. It looks like there was some contact. I'm not sure if it was, who did what, but our day's over. It's too bad.
I had a good run. I got alongside him into turn 1 there, and we were side by side. Ed gave me the room originally, and I honestly thought that the guy in the 3rd lane was going to have to dump the throttle and back out of it. It would just be Ed and I through the corner, but evidently he was also thinking it's the race of the checkered, kept his foot in it, and him and Ed, I guess, got together, and it shot Ed down into us. So, I was the last guy on the scene, so I'll take a little bit of it, but, at the end of the day, they made contact, and it came down into us. You hate it when it happens anywhere, and here it's just the worst, because you spend so much time here preparing, and to not be able to bring it home is very tough.
Back on the track, James's Andretti teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay takes the checkered flag, sips the milk, pockets a check for $2.5 million, and kisses the famous bricks at the start-finish line. For James Hinchcliffe, it's another year of thinking, what if? Meantime, Ian King and Steve Willett are still trying to squeeze more power out of their top fuel bikes. Paul Bailey isn't bored of his McLaren P1 yet, but he's contemplating his next supercar purchase. Lisa takes her man to the start line for another duel with funny car legend Dale Creasy Jr. And Paul Swift is still taking great joy in taking his mother for another ride. But no donuts.